Wow, people are just flowing in. You'll love to see it.
They are. I forget to ask you while everybody's flowing in. Do you want me to stop sharing my screen so they can get an up close look at all of us?
I think the further away, at least for me, the better.
Yeah, and people can enjoy this conversation as they're coming in. It's great they're recording. I always like to say that I don't think there'll be no point where we put my picture on here anywhere. But I always say that's as good as I look anyway. So the video, the
Me
more
too.
the smaller, the more distance. I benefit from distance.
Exactly. I think my Zoom like automatically updated itself, or like I hit the update, there was a new version, and it like automatically put a filter on my face. And I had to like turn it off. I'm like, what?
No,
Zoom,
I need a
do the
filter.
thing.
How do we get the filters? Can someone help? Before we get into the ROI of email marketing, can someone help Joel with filters on Zoom so we can maybe shed 50 or 60 pounds and maybe grow a little more hair, maybe?
I don't know if those filters exist yet, but I'll
They
keep an eye out
should.
and I'll let you
They
know.
should.
All right. Well, welcome in, guys. We will be getting started here in just a minute since it's 1 o'clock. We are joined today. Cat filter, yes, definitely. I'll see if that's available. We're joined today by Joel Zwicker. He is the insurance evangelist. Last time I said evangelical or something. He's the evangelist for Agency Revolution. Agency Revolution is the most powerful marketing and communication software built specifically to meet the needs of insurance agencies. And I get this question quite a lot. How can I best optimize my email marketing? What's too much? What's too little? What kind of content should we be sharing? Obviously, having an online mode of communication is becoming increasingly more important. It's already incredibly important. So we wanted to bring on Joel again to talk with us about their recommendations for best practices on how to get the best ROI out of your email marketing campaign. So thanks so much, Joel. Really glad to have you here. Before we get started, as always, if you have any questions, please put them into the Q&A. Or you can put them into the chat if you forget, but it's always nice to stay organized. If you do want to make a comment in the chat and you'd rather it be for everyone, make sure you turn on that everyone. Otherwise, we're just talking to us, which is also fine. We will be sending out a recording of this webinar after the fact. So if you do have to get back to your day for any reason, don't worry, you're not going to miss anything. You'll be able to rewatch this later. And for those of you who came from Agency Revolution and are unfamiliar with us, this webinar today is hosted by the Quote Wizard Agent Education Program. Quote Wizard is a lead generation company. We are one of the, if not the, at this point, largest lead generation companies in the entire United States. We're actually Quote Wizard by LendingTree, if you guys have heard of them before. And as part of a free service we offer our agents when they sign up with us to receive leads, we offer this agent education program. Totally free, just resources like our guest webinar series like we're hosting today that we put on every week or two. We've got best practices, case studies, agent interviews, ongoing, smaller webinar series that we put on every now and then. So definitely worth checking out if you're not already with us. So with that, that's my spiel. I'll stop being annoying. Here is Joel. He's going to take it away. And I'm going to turn off my video, but I'll still be here monitoring the chat. Thanks, Joel.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelsey. And yeah, you're not going to miss anything if we're going to send out the recording, but there's only one thing better than a webinar. It's a live webinar. This is your opportunity to engage. We'll operate under a ask us anything here. So if you have a question, use that Q&A section within Zoom here to ask. If you want to make fun or take a shot at me, you can do the chat. You can use chat for that, i.e. let's at least get Joel a cat filter. Adrian, thank you. I should have a cat filter. There's probably a cat in my office here if I look hard enough. And that would be a great example of a comment that you would just share with the hosts, not everybody that's here. So anyway, Okay. With that said, welcome everybody. For those of you who don't know me, once again, I am Joel. I am an insurance evangelist here at Agency Revolution, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, and that's the ROI of email marketing. Because I believe there's fear. I believe there's fear out there on this topic. I believe that certainly a lot of insurance agencies out there think that people don't want email. People don't. They get too much of it. There's email fatigue. Call it whatever you want. And yes, all of those fears are valid. And yes, the last thing anybody wants from you is another generic. Here's something because I was at a conference and they said I should email my clients. Check the box piece of communication. That is not what we're here to talk about today. We're here to talk about how you can actually see an ROI from your email marketing. We're going to see some of the incredible statistics that email marketing will bring to your agency. And if you're following or you're connected with myself or Quote Wizard on LinkedIn, you'll hear that I talked about the 4 keys. The 4 keys to successfully email market or take marketing out of the equation. It's always marketing. Yes, we're running a business, but we're in a relationship business here. We're in the insurance industry. We're in a relationship business, and there's 2 things you bring to the table, folks. So I know I'm going with a lot of there's 4, there's 2, but there's 2 things you bring to the table as an insurance agent: expertise and relationship. That's why you need to use email, because that's why people choose you, is for your expertise and your relationship. And as you grow, it's nearly impossible to maintain, much less grow the relationship and share that expertise through the entirety of your book of business. So you need email, but if you're going to do that email, you got to do it right. So let's get right to it. So, but why does email even matter? There is an incredible ROI. Whether you love it or not, or whatever, we're going to talk to you about how to be successful. The reality is 42 to 1. 42 to 1 is the ROI on average. And so if that doesn't get your attention, I don't know what would. So think about anything else you're doing within your agency that sees that kind of return. And I can assure you this time spent today will not only help you get there, but it'll be well spent in your day. So global usage, there are over 4 billion email users. That means half of the world's population uses email. So yeah, everybody uses it, and email converts nearly 40 times more customers than Facebook and Twitter combined. Last webinar we did in conjunction with Quote Wizard, obviously we talked about social media best practices, important places to be, but check that number out: 40 times more customers. Okay, so this is where you'll see incredible results. But let's take we have to really be focused on this industry. We're a different industry than most, and so what we're going to talk about is those 4 things. And we'll when you think about when you're going to send a piece of communication, and when you think about whether it's happy holidays or and we'll look at other specific examples where you may use email. There's 4 things that should be incorporated in every outbound piece of communication. If you want people to open them, if you want people to engage with them, because as of my opinion and our opinion, if you're going to send something, you might as well get people engaged with it. So let's not just check the box. We want people to engage. And if you have high opens and you have high engagement, then guess what? All of a sudden, your unsubscribes are going to be really, really low. And that's, at the end of the day, that is what our goal is. So those 4 things that I've talked about are really simply: your communication needs to be relevant, it needs to be timely, it needs to come from a trustworthy source. And let me define that. From trustworthy is not on behalf of the agency. Here's an email. That's not a trustworthy source. It needs to come from Dave, Jane, Bill, Sally, whoever within the agency. That's a trustworthy source. That's who they have the relationship with. That's who the communication should come from. And it needs to be personalized. And this isn't easy to do unless you work with the right providers and the right solutions. And we'll look at that. So hi Paul. I just got a chat here from Paul. And so And there was a quick question: what if I have a CRM that does email follow-up? How do they work together? Well, you know what, Paul, we're going to talk about leveraging that the outbound communication here. Okay, leveraging the outbound communication so you can see great responses. So the content that should go in those communications, and how to best manipulate what you have for information to get the best results. So, but thank you for your time as well, Paul. Thank you for jumping on here. And if you have any other questions, continue to use chat or the Q&A. So just rehashing: relevant, timely, trustworthy, personalized. Those are the four key things. These four values are shown through eye-catching subject lines, valuable content, and strong, clear copy and calls to action. And so these are the things that you need to incorporate in your communications. And if you want the high ROIs and the open and engagement. So let's talk about subject lines just for a moment. So short and sweet. Don't ever get too long. Okay, it can be to the point. And people, the subject line is there for a reason. It shouldn't be for tricking people. It should be clear and concise on what it's all about. No major surprises there. It should evoke emotion there in the reader. So if you can draw to someone's to the emotional side, you'll always get better open rates. And if you can personalize the subject line, you can see here 26% more open rates. So some CRMs or some solutions have that ability, some don't. Proud here at Agency Revolution, we do, and we'll look at that. But if you can personalize that subject line, you can see here in the example, it says Sam. That's obviously someone's first name. If you can do that, that's great. And once again, it needs to be relevant to the recipient. And so when we talk about relevancy, the ability to, rather than just grabbing your list or your client base, whatever have you as a whole, and blasting it out because you can, the more targeted and segmented you can get with your communication, that's how you can make it as relevant as possible. So using industry, just a real basic example, I think everybody on this call knows that umbrella insurance, really important. Everybody should have it. So if you're going to send out a piece of communication that's relevant, yeah, I think we all agree umbrella insurance is relevant. But I would suggest that it's more relevant to the people that don't have it. Okay. So the piece of communication you want to send out to all your clients that don't have umbrella insurance should be very different than the piece of communication you send out to all your clients that do have umbrella insurance. So that's how we can get better and better and be more relevant to the end recipient. Valuable content. And so I think what you're going to see here, there's a bunch of bullets, and we'll go through them and we'll talk about them. But I want you to think about one thing. When we talk about content, the more it can come from the heart, the better off you'll be. So I always point at the heart, and no, I'm not pointing at the logo, even though it's nice and cool. It's about from the heart. So showcasing your team members, okay? That's why people choose you. Why? Two things: expertise, relationship. Really tough for maybe one individual to create a relationship with your entirety book of your business. So each CSR, each producer, each account executive has relationships. Showcase them. They're all unique. They're all special. They're all positive part of your team. Share that out. Community involvement. The reality is, independent insurance agencies, we are staples of our community. Have been for a long time, will be forever. Highlight that. The really, when we think about community involvement, and this is something we shared in a previous webinar as well, this is something that I think you see a lot of agencies fail at. What is the greatest gift to those groups, those charities, those things that you're involved with? What's the greatest gift you can give them? Exposure and attendance. So the more exposure you can provide to them, the more people will show, the more people you can get to show up to whatever it is, the better off that situation is going to be for that group. So include that in your communications, in those community involvements, the things that you're doing. Advice, tips, and news. Relationship, expertise. People want it. That's why people choose you. Get that advice out there. Share tips, best practices, share your knowledge. That all falls into relationship and nurturing. Proactive service. So I think the expectation or the belief is that, I buy my insurance and then a year later I get a bill. Let's be proactive. Let's talk about what points within the life cycle of a client are appropriate proactive points to reach out, mid-year check-ins, 30, 60, 90 days prior to renewal, a happy birthday. Those are all things that can be proactive. And then, of course, sales and lead gen. Inevitably, we're trying to grow our business, so we can provide all these things while generating sales and lead generation as well. So, strong, clear copy and call to action. Here, and I think this is where a lot of times people struggle, is because particularly in this industry, there's a lot of jargon, words that aren't necessarily clear, and I think you need to be cognizant of that when you're going to communicate with your clients. It should be easy to scan and understand, short and conversational in tone. We don't want to be a dictator here. We simply want to have a conversation with them about something. And so leveraging things like bullet points and the more you can personalize the communication, the better off it is. I don't think it's that far reach to think people expect the first name personalization. But if you can personalize things, if you have a solution that has the ability to personalize within the body of the email as well, and of course that subject line we talked about earlier, that's really going to add value. But easy to scan and understand, talk in basic language. Think of it as you're trying to explain what it is you do to maybe a 10-year-old, and that's where you want to be. So, and call to action, of course, attractors using brand colors. Use colors to highlight specifically if you're going to drive them to your website or drive them to use a Google review, or you're going to take them to social media or a landing page on your website to talk about something. Use brand colors and to highlight that text or that button, whatever it is, and just use those to draw attention, and that will drive people to actually engage with that call to action, whatever it may be. So I think here is where we'll get into what we would consider common or maybe a little easier to do email opportunities, regardless of what solutions you may or may not have available to you. And then we'll look, we'll also talk about maybe some more engaging or detailed ones that you're going to have to either find a solution that'll help you with, and we can have a look at that. So common email opportunities, I think nothing, newsletters. But think about your newsletter. Certainly here, I can speak from an Agency Revolution standpoint. We provide great content to you. We provide newsletters. We provide all those things for you. If you could just take a moment and add a little bit of flair, think about that previous slide where we talked about highlighting a client, or excuse me, a staff member, or highlighting a client. Great opportunity to promote a local business that maybe is a client of yours. Highlight your staff members. Maybe there's a work anniversary or a birthday coming up. Maybe someone's had a baby or a grandchild, whatever the case may be. Incorporating those little things into those newsletters will increase the readership and the value add there. Of course, testimonial requests, whether they're testimonial requests or a Google review, we like that. Positive feedback is good on so many levels. It reinforces the relationship you have with that particular client. We can then leverage that testimonial in other marketing, whether it's an outbound email, on our website, Facebook, wherever have you. We can leverage that, and it makes people inside feel good. So when I say inside, I mean within your agency. So other team members, whether that feedback or testimonial is focused on very, very specifically an individual that's working within your agency, or just your agency as a whole, that makes people feel really good. You have to remember that a lot of times when people come into our agency, they're dealing with maybe something negative or a negative experience. They've had a claim, maybe their price increase, or something wasn't there that they thought, or they got to make a change, or and they're worried about what may happen. So a lot of times our people working internally are simply dealing with a lot of negativity. So adding some positive from a testimonial request adds so much value. And of course, cross-selling. Whether you have a carrier that's going to provide you with a list, or you can find that within your management system, grabbing that low-hanging fruit, just identifying those people that are monoline, or there's opportunities to cross-sell them into other opportunities. There's a reason you do that. Forgive me, I should know these statistics off the top of my head, but I don't. But the reality is, someone that has one policy with you will renew 70 some odd % of the time. Somebody that has two policies renews at like 92%, and somebody has 3, forget about it, they're never going anywhere. So the more we can do to cross sell, the better off we'll be. But those are what I always consider common email opportunities that are generally easy to do. So when we talk about newsletters, as mentioned, talk about your referrals. If you don't have a referral rewards program, get one. That's the best advice I can give you. And so you can highlight that. If you're using a digital newsletter, obviously you can incorporate a video there, maybe of the drawing or the person receiving the prize. Everybody loves video, and of course you can use that in multiple different places, not just email or newsletters. Highlight some causes that you're involved with, your community events. You know, if you're going to be involved in this one is highlighting Breast Cancer Awareness Month, or there's something else, let us know, let people know about that. If you love us, let us know. So incorporate those testimonials and ask for more in that newsletter. It doesn't just have to be in a one-on-one setting or at the bottom of an email. You can incorporate that in your newsletters as well. Testimonial requests. Here's a great example of asking just both for that Google. So obviously the benefits of the Google review, you can see where we're asking or we're driving people to directly find us there, or simply type back a response. Once again, Google is great. Reviews are great. We all know that helps our SEO, helps our digital presence. But as I mentioned, the positive word does such positive things in so many different ways that type testimonial can mean a lot to you. And please, I'll just, not necessarily to do with the ROI of email marketing, don't forget to thank someone. If someone sends you a testimonial request or gives a Google review, make sure you say thank you. Or make sure you respond to that. Those are great people. They're likely highly loyal insurance clients, which is another conversation for another day. But make sure you thank those people. And of course your cross sell. So you can see in this particular piece of communication as the example, very conversational. And not necessarily, hey, we should consider this a conversational approach to that email, and just asking for a quick chat. You may want to incorporate, a Calendly or meeting schedule, Chili Piper type situation, whatever solution you're using there to book that there as well. So now we talk about our advanced email opportunities, and so this is really where you can separate yourself from the pack, if you will. This is where people choose you because of the relationship and expertise. This is where you can really expand on that. And these are, you need a solution that can identify these. But customer onboarding, so welcoming new customers. And so welcoming new customer, it should happen immediately, not a week or two later. Like right away, that same day or the next day someone comes on board, send them an email, send them a text, send them a postcard, whatever. But customer onboarding, email it, and it should be multi-step. You should be reaching out to your new clients 3 to 4 times in that first 30 days. That's your best opportunity to cultivate a relationship. They're on a high because they've chosen you for whatever positive reason, and so we can leverage that. We talk about lead nurturing. I really believe this is a place where a lot of agencies fail, and lead nurturing, because a lot of agencies are spending a lot of either financial resources or time resources to get people to come to them, whether it's via phone, walking in the office, via their website. And the reality is, some people don't choose you today. I can assure you, you don't close at 100%. And if you do, disregard this, but I assure you, you probably don't. But you've spent that time. So whether it's time resources, creating that customer experience, making sure everybody's treated fairly, and so they refer more, or you've gone out and you've invested in your website or email marketing to get people to come to you, and they don't choose you. You need a conveyor belt. You need a way to effectively communicate and nurture those people for the next year, the next 2, the next 3. So when they do choose you, you're there and ready, stay front of mind. And of course, account review, another place that seems to, a lot of people say, hey, we do that. And I always question, do you? If you're going to do this, if you're going to do account review to do it properly, it is more than, hey, we do it the first of every week or the first of every month. We make sure we send out all those. Um, that's fine if all your clients renew on the same day every month, or the group of clients, but the reality is we all have renewals that come in likely every day. And so you need a systematic way to make sure if your communication is timely and it's relevant, then it's going to happen 30 days, 60 days. A mid-year check-in is something that every account should get, whether it's a personal lines and some things have changed in their homeowners or auto, on the commercial lines. Like some of your clients are likely open to a potential mid-year audit, and you should be informing them of that or looking for updates and changes in this types of things. So absolutely critical. So making sure, let's have a look at how these work. So customer onboarding, once again, first email tells the customers you're excited to work with them, provides them some expectations. Second email reinforces the agent's role. Maybe you have a sales and service, like inform them about that, so it's not a shocker when they get a phone call or an email from somebody else, but just let them know what the expectations can be. And then the third email that provides tips about claims or further reinforces the roles of everybody within the agency. I would also suggest that somewhere's in here, you should be talking to them about testimonials and referral programs. At the bottom of all these emails, you can be driving to your social pages to get them engaged there as well. So incorporate those as well in your customer onboarding efforts. Lead nurturing. As we discussed, drip campaigns that guide new leads. I mean, relevant content, personalized message. I can assure you, if you nurture and communicate with your leads properly, they're not getting that from their existing provider. So if you can do that, they're going to stand out. So while they may not have chosen you today or this week, 6 months, a year down the road, they will, because you're value add. And then, of course, segment based on interest. The more segmented and targeted you can get with your lead nurturing, the more relevant you're going to be. And so if they've downloaded or they communicated with you in a certain way, or they came to you a specific way, you know, what pages on your website, if you can target that communication to them, much more powerful, much more likely that they will convert sooner rather than later. Account review, I talked about this. This is one that I think a lot of agents struggle with. You know, at a minimum, we're talking about a 2 email sequence. You know your clients, you know the level of service you want to provide, but as I mentioned, 5 months out, so a mid-year check-in, critical, regardless of the business, a mid-year check-in, and then 10 months, so like 60 days prior to renewal. If your expectations are maybe more than that, you should be able to adjust that, but at a minimum, those should happen every year someone's with a client, not just their first year, not their second, every year. That's the expectation. It should happen. And you know, if you have that solution, you need those solutions that help you do that. And you can't be doing that email blast once a month to accomplish those things. So this, you know, and I guess we get back here to a little bit of you know, Paul asked earlier about a CRM question. Integration. It's absolutely critical. And when you start looking at whether it's a CRM or a communication platform, call it whatever you want, absolutely critical that it integrates with your management system. And so what that does is, here's the reality. So many producers, CSRs, yourself, you have enough portals and platforms to try to remember to log into on a daily basis. You shouldn't have to add another one to the equation. So an integration should eliminate the need for that. It should eliminate the training on something else. It removes any daily upkeep. Double entry is the worst thing. I don't know a single CSR, producer, account executive, anybody that says, yeah, give me some more double entry. Like, it just should eliminate it altogether. It should provide easy segmentation. It should allow you to help create timely messages on a variety of different trigger or key points within the life cycle of your client. You shouldn't have to think too much about that. And it should allow you, by leveraging the data within your management system, you should be able to create a level of personalization that is unmatched. We know information about people. We should be able to leverage that in our communication so we can get more engagement, build the relationships. and a CRM or communication platform should scale your efforts. It shouldn't add work. It should reduce work. It may create a little bit of work to get an account review or account sequence built, but once it's done, it should save everybody time. It shouldn't create more time. And so think about that. And that's, really what integration should do for you, your agency, and everybody in it. And then of course, a lot of agencies are out there proactively in acquisition games. So if you start dealing with multiple locations, I mean that's difficult. Easy if with the right solution. So whether it's multiple locations, multiple brands, make sure the right branding goes to the right people. These are critical when we talk about what a proper communication email platform should do for you. And of course, everything you should do, everything you do should be tracked. So you need to track those metrics. I love metrics here for my job. I sometimes drive some of the other people here at Agency Revolution nuts with how closely I watch them, but I think there's tracking, looking for trends in your building, and they should be at your fingertips. And so you should be easily track things like open rates and click-through rates and your deliverability and increased website traffic. And of course, unsubscribes. You got to watch those. They're a reality. But if you're doing this right, they should be really low and your open rate should be really high. This is the number. 21% of insurance industry, that's the average open rate within the industry, which in the grand scheme of things isn't bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. I can assure you, you talk to other industries and it's substantially lower than that. But at the end of the day, most industries aren't dealing with their clients every day like we are. We're in the best business, that's renewal business, and so understand that may influence that. But 21% is not bad. But I'll tell you the big number, 41%. That's the average open rate for our clients here at Agency Revolution. So let me jump in here and I'm going to show you now how we leverage the data within your management system to ensure that your communications are both timely, relevant, personalized, and someone whom they trust all the time. And so you don't have to worry about it. So you can see increased open rates. If you get open rates that high, you're bound to see higher and higher ROI on your email efforts. So let me jump out of this and jump over here. This is Agency Revolution Fuse. And so this solution integrates directly with your management system. Okay, and when we say integration, what we mean is this. There's nothing that you need to do on a daily basis to make it happen. There's no training your staff on another portal or platform. No double entry, no maintaining secondary databases. Quite simply, this solution watches your management system, looking for people to fit specific criteria and or specific events to happen, and then automate whatever multi-step sequence you want in that situation. Or sometimes we just need to blast out a piece of communication to some or all of our clients, which we can do as well. So here at the marketing dashboard, it's where the kind of the starting point of all this happens and highlights a few things. Net Promoter Score, NPS. If you're not familiar with that, we can talk about that quickly later. And then we have featured communications here, our content team. So we have a content team that's constantly creating great content for you. So you don't have to think, fall's blowing in, I should send it a relevant, timely piece of communication about fall. It's done. Maybe their flood insurance is coming up. You can see we have that done. And of course, celebrate Filipino or National Hispanic Heritage Month. Those things are timely, relevant pieces of communication that you're going to want to get out. You don't have to create it. What's nice here is simply if we click schedule here now, that allows us to edit, customize the communication we want, and then the next click is to send it out to all of our clients or a segment of our clients. So that's there. But let me get over here. Let's talk about email marketing and how we get ROI here. And so I want to go over here to custom campaigns, and we're hitting on a few of these here. So here in launch campaigns within my demo account, I call this the basics. Okay, with a solution like ours, these are the basics. This is where an agency is really crawling, maybe starting to walk with a solution like ours. And so in each one of these situations, these are all multi-step campaigns that are also completely automated. So nobody in the agencies needs to do anything more to make them happen than they're doing today. And they're all personalized. So that's rather critical. And so whether we're onboarding or welcoming new customers, the account review process, as we talked about earlier, cross sells, we talked about account rounding, the systematic approach to that. Then we're doing NPS, the evaluation of all this. If you're just doing NPS, stop. You're not adding any value. Let me ask you this, and I'm going to get directly to the point here. If all you're doing as far as outbound communication to your clients is NPS, asking them to rate you on a scale of 0 to 10, and then driving their Google review, what gives you the right? What have you provided to them in a digital world if you've not communicated with them proactively, aside from say, hey, give me a review? Think about that. You NPS is your end game. It's your evaluation of your email and your communication efforts with your clients. It is not the game. You need a way to evaluate, yes, but that is an evaluation of your communication efforts. And if you're not doing anything more than that, you stop and think about, if you were a client of yours, what would you want to hear from you about? And that's where you start. So with that said, NPS, and then lost customer winbacks. We talked about lead nurturing. So whether it's that front end lead, so those prospects that don't choose you today, or those back end, the reality is customers leave you. Whether you like to admit it or not. Some we may never care to see again, and that's fine. We can opt them out. But the reality is there's some good clients that leave us, and maybe we want to win them back this year, next year, and we should have the ability to automatically nurture them. So let me just walk you through how just using client onboarding as the example. So I'm going to go here to the content library. So here within our solution, we have all of these campaigns and more pre-built for you, but are all completely customizable. So I'm just simply going to search for a welcome kit and give a couple options. I'm going to go down here to the custom campaign. So whether it's personal lines or commercial lines, it's really the same concept, obviously just different relevant content for the person. So here within our solution, we can identify specifically who we want to get this campaign. This is where the relevancy of a piece of communication comes in. So whether it's broad, all personal lines or all commercial lines, or we can get much more targeted, personal lines with a specific carrier, or personal lines with a specific carrier, or a specific policy type. Maybe you've segmented your clients in an ABC or gold, silver, bronze type situation. We can build out those segments here, so you can welcome a VIP client very different than maybe a bronze client, if you will. So identifying people allows you to be much more relevant. And then we get into the automation. So there's two ways we automate here within this solution. This is an example of triggers. And what triggers are, they're key points within the lifecycle of a client. So once again, step back, think of the lifecycle of a client with your agency, and think about, I'm a new customer, I'm a new client, I've added an additional policy, I've had a claim, I've had a price increase, decrease, I've had a renewal. Those are key events in the life cycle of a client that you know, or you likely know you should be communicating with your clients. And so that's how triggers work. So that's what we built in. That's what makes our communications timely. We've made them relevant because we've targeted through segmentation. Now we've made them timely because we're leveraging triggers. So we're watching for these things to happen in the management system. So when that happens, then we can start communicating with our clients. So when someone is a personalized new customer, not a rewrite, reinstatement, all those things, a true blue new customer, an email will go. 2 days later, another email can go. 3 days later, another email can go. We followed the 3 steps here, best practices, and we can adjust. We can customize this however you see fit. So if you want to wait longer between communications, you can certainly do that. If you want to wait minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years between communications, you can certainly do that. And depending on the situation, that might be a relevant approach. And of course, with our solution, we are talking email, but we can add things like text and print as well and incorporate them into the client experience as you see fit. Now, let's get into the actual email itself. And this is where I want to reiterate the 4 things. If you take nothing else from this webinar today, take these 4 things, okay? If you want clients, prospects, whoever, to open your emails and to engage with you, which at the end of the day, if you're sending an email and you don't want those things, then just don't. But if you want those things to happen, there's 4 key things. That needs to be relevant, it needs to be timely, it needs to be personalized, and it needs to come from someone they trust. And so let's look at how we accomplish those final two key factors here. Number one, because we're integrated with your management system, we recognize who the producer may be, the account rep, or a specific employee. So we mirror your email addresses. So it looks and feels like it's coming from whomever within your agency, the producer, the account rep, or another specific employee. And if the person replies back, it goes right back to the inbox you're using today. So we make sure this communication, A, comes from the right person, but also someone that that client probably has the relationship with. If you're the agency owner, you maybe have the ability to send all emails from you, but the chances are not all of your clients necessarily have a direct relationship with you. So while some emails want to come from you, if we can target the producer, the account rep, or CSR on file, would be a best practice strategy. And then within the body of the email here, of course, we can customize this. You know, you'd want to brand it, create an email template, maybe leverage some images or videos. But here's an opportunity for you to personalize the communication. So it came from someone they trust. Now we need to personalize. Here at Agency Revolution, we have the ability to mail merge virtually any field you're bringing in from the management system. And we can do that in the subject line as well. So you can personalize your subject line here, but you can also mail merge here. Let me give you a quick example of a way to personalize a piece of communication. By clicking policies over here on the left, now, this is a welcome email to an agency, so it may not all be that relevant, but let's think back to that account review example where maybe we're doing a mid-year check-in. Hey, Kelsey, your homeowner's policy with whatever carrier is coming up for renewal in the next not for another 6 months. If certain things change, bullet list, let us know. Also, we're a full service agency here at ABC Insurance Agency. Below is a listing of all your active policies with us. Let us know if we're missing anything. So of course we did a soft cross-sell there, but we've personalized this communication. You can see at the bottom here where we've brought in a listing of all the active policies this particular client has with us. So now this communication is relevant. We know that they're personal lines. It's timely because we've triggered on the fact that they're a new customer within the management system. It comes from someone they trust because we know who the producer or the account rep is, and it's personalized because we can mail merge anything we want in there. Relevant, timely, from someone they trust, personalized. Those are the keys. Our particular solution, everything is responsive design as well. That's something you should consider, making your communication responsive. So whether it's in a traditional inbox or on a smartphone, you know it's going to look and feel the way you want it to. And yes, that's as good as I'll ever look. So enjoy that picture. That's it. So with that said, that is the ability to automate and those pieces of communication. Now, we talked a little bit about segmenting as well. I think I'll highlight that here. So quite simply here in accounts, on the right would be everybody in your management system. On the left is where we create segments. This is how we get relevance. This is how we pinpoint and target. So our communication is relevant. So in our world here, this is a summary list on the right. If I want to create a segment, we work exclusively with independent insurance agencies, so we know what most are looking for. So we make it really easy. So we've created the thing is rules here that just make it really easy for you to target things that you want to do. But let's use cross-sell as the example. So let's open this up. I want to target accounts who have, let's type in a policy type. So this list is going to be specific to your agency. So maybe we'll do homeowners. So we have homeowners. It could be commercial general liability, take your pick. I'm going to select that do not have, let's pick the lowest hanging fruit, just as an example, auto insurance. So now I want to target accounts who have active homeowners, but do not have an active auto policy. Once again, could be general liability, no cyber. Take your pick. What this looks like is real simple. So now we have a targeted list. With our solution, this list is dynamic. What that means is you never have to run it again. So as your management system updates, these lists automatically update. Today we have 223 accounts. Tomorrow we might have 225. Later in the day we may have 224. Whatever the case is, as you do your job, as everybody does their job day to day within your management system, these lists will be up to date. Okay. So you never have to run. So then we can run an automated sequence from this as people fit this criteria. They have home insurance with no auto. We can automatically opt them into a campaign to systematically account round, maybe reach out once a quarter, a couple times a year, whatever, to systematically account round. It's relevant, it's timely, it's going to be personalized to show you how we do that. And if someone comes in and buys that line of business, if somebody comes in and buys auto insurance in this example from your agency, they'll automatically be removed from this campaign. No one needs to remember to do it because we're integrated with your management system. We also have the option here to send one-off blast email. So we don't have to automate this. If we simply just want to send this group of people out a piece of relevant, timely communication, we can do that. We don't have to automate it. So that's kind of the cross-selling approach. And we talked really briefly about NPS and reputation management. So I think it's critical that we just talk about that real quickly. If you do not know what NPS is, it's a systematic survey of your clients. Systematic, rate us on a scale of 0 to 10. Once again, I'll reiterate, if this is all you're doing, stop. You shouldn't be doing this. This is an evaluation of your overall communication strategy. You need to think about all those communications that we looked at before you start evaluating, because the reality is not everybody's going to respond to this, and it should be your goal to get more and more people responding to this. And so NPS, real simple, if you're not familiar, is calculated like this. People that rate you 0 to 6, detractors. People that rate you 8s or 7s, they are neutral or passive. People that rate you 9 or 10 are promoters. Those are those are the people that are probably going to give you those testimonials and those Google reviews. And part of this process is that we do in fact drive people to the Google review. Part of our NPS process is to drive for those Google reviews, but we want to take it one step further. We want to get in here and delve in. So we can look at who our promoters are and look for opportunity to cultivate the relationship, look for opportunity. So things like we can identify that who is a monoline. So this person's monoline, been with us 7+ years of 10, we should reach out there, likely opportunity for growth. On the flip side, we can look at our detractors and say, wow, these people have been with us 3+ years, have a large chunky premium and only rate us a 2. We may want to reach out there because we're very susceptible to losing that account. So once again, not necessarily on the ROI of marketing reputation management, is certainly an evaluation of your communication efforts, which should inevitably incorporate email. One thing that we do track, and I will highlight this via our dashboards, is something we track here is engagement score. There is a fine line between effective communication and spamming people, and you do not want to cross it. Okay. More and more why you need to make sure your communications are relevant, timely, personalized from someone they trust. So when you do get a piece of communication out there, people pay attention. But our engagement score tracks on average how many pieces of communication does a client receive on a monthly basis on average. So we encourage our clients to keep that number above 0.75, but below 2. So basically what that number is, the fastest growing agencies in the country proactively communicate with their clients between 9 and 12 times. Do some quick math. 0.75 is 9. 1 would be 12. And of course, 2, if you're communicating twice a month with your clients, you can absolutely do that. The top 1% fastest growing do, but when they do it, they are timely, relevant, personalized, and from someone they trust. So you want to make sure that communication, and we do want to track that. So I do have a question in here, and I haven't read it yet, so I'm kind of maybe throwing myself under the bus here. So Jordan asks, do you have the ability to send from the agency or just the producer specific person? No, Jordan, you certainly have the ability to send from the agency, and that could be a relevant thing to do. For example, if you want to wish everybody Happy New Year, or Thanksgiving's not that far off, these types of things you may want to come from the agency. And if you have an agency email address or whatever have you want that to come from, you certainly can do that for those. It would be a best practice when you start talking about account reviews and welcoming clients that account reviews specifically should come from somebody, not necessarily from the agency. The welcome email, you may send one email from the agency, but others should come from someone specifically. This just helps increase your open rates. That's at the end of the day, we want to increase open, increase engagement, decrease unsubscribe. So yes, Jordan, we can do that. but more specifically, there's not always wanting to do that is not going to provide you with the best results. So I will flip back over here, and I'll go to this and say any other questions, please fire away. I'm happy to ask those, or if you feel free to reach out to us, and you can access our website there. Obviously, agencyrevolution.com. You can send us an email at grow@agencyrevolution.com. If you haven't, Kelsey, I'll do you a favor here. Connect with us on LinkedIn. Both Quote Wizard and myself and Agency Revolution. Find us on LinkedIn. Just search Joel Zwicker. You saw my picture. It's as good as it gets. Quote Wizard's there. Connect with them. Agency Revolution. Encourage you all to do that. And of course, you can find more about that. And I just saw another question come in, Kelsey, so I will answer that quickly. And then you mentioned you were able to pull from our CRMs. Does this include Applied Epic? Yes, it does. For specifically Applied Epic, yes, we're compatible with Applied Epic and TAM as well. Like I said, as well as other, basically any major agency management system. Once again, for more information, you can go to agencyrevolution.com. More questions. Will you get back to the frequency of emails that lead to engagement score? What is the recommended number? Sure. So, hi Blanche. Blanche Adams asked that question. I don't know if Blanche remembers me, but her and I had conversations in the past. And the engagement score that we looked at talks about specifically measures on average how many pieces of communication your clients are receiving on a monthly basis. And so we encourage that number to be above 0.75. So if you do the math, 0.75 times 12 equals 9. So that's the baseline. The fastest growing, the top 10% fastest growing agencies in the country proactively communicate. Specifically, proactively communicate. Here's your invoice is not proactive. Okay. So proactively communicating with your clients at least 9 times. 12 is the top 10%. So that would be the one. So that engagement score in our solution, if it shows 1, that means on average they're getting 1 piece of communication. And then if we're going to go to 2, that's great, but we need to be incorporating those relevant, timely, personalized from someone they trust. So that's the more communications you send. We're not suggesting that you don't, but you need to be much more specific. And we got a ton of questions coming in here, Kelsey. So I'm just going to keep rolling here. Partner XE, we're ready for partner. We are partner of partner. So if you're using Partner XE and you're on this call, agencyrevolution.com or grow at agencyrevolution.com. On our website, click request a demo. We're ready to go with Partner XE. And that question came from Tina. Hi, Tina. And then if we're already calling clients 30 days ahead of renewals, is it still a good idea to send email? Yes. Leslie, great question. Statistics show that your clients don't want you to call. Okay. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's in excess of 80% of your clients do not want a phone call, but they do want to hear from you. So yes, you should incorporate calling, email, because think about it this way. If somebody calls you right now, are you going to be able to answer it? No, you're on here with me and Kelsey. We're hanging out. We're doing productive work. So you might have to leave a voicemail. Can't talk to you right now. But if an email comes in, I can respond when I'm available. Maybe it's tonight. Maybe it's tomorrow morning. Maybe it's in 10 minutes time. So yes, incorporate email in conjunction with calling. I'm not suggesting that you take that out, but you should absolutely incorporate it. State Farm. Not currently, Mike. The solution does not currently work with State Farm's ECRM. We'd certainly be open to it. And so if I want to talk more about that, once again, leverage those options there. Alex asks, do you have campaigns for specific industries such as manufacturing or construction used in a prospecting strategy? So Alex, what you're going to find in our content library, it is what I would call conversational and broad. You're not going to find, there is some flood, there is some cyber liability, maybe specific emails, but you're not necessarily going to find very specific. Here's a set of emails for contractors. That's not where we excel. We excel in the conversational, the relationship building, communication with people, but you can certainly bring that content in and use it, whether you've created or you found it somewhere else. You can use that within our solution. Can we get the platform for free? No. With that said, someone asked, can we get the platform for free? So I have two answers. Number one, if we cost our clients money, we wouldn't be in business for 25 plus years. I know nothing about your agency, but I can guarantee you this: you have an acre of diamonds sitting in front of you. And if you're not leveraging email to communicate with your clients and prospects, and you start doing it, a solution like this, and ours in particular, will pay for itself time and time again. I assure you that there's an acre of diamonds. Would this take and I'm not going to mention, there's a third party. Someone asked us if it takes the replace of a third party. Yes, Julie, absolutely. If you're using a solution like another email solution, very few have the ability to get as personalized and relevant and timely as we do. So 100% would take the replace of that. And there's certainly nothing that solution does that the other solutions are that our solutions can't and don't incorporate. Wow, that was a lot of questions, and I don't think I see any more here in the chat, Kelsey. So once again, agencyrevolution.com, grow at agencyrevolution.com. If you want any more information about things that we talked about, welcome kits, MPS, cross-selling, referrals, and Fuse, check us out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joel. I certainly learned a lot, and maybe you guys will see some different email strategies from Quote Wizard in the future. But like Joel mentioned, definitely check us out on our social sites like LinkedIn. Quote Wizard usually only promotes our webinars to our current clients who are a part of our agent education program, and then whoever our guest invites as well. So if you follow us on LinkedIn, it's kind of like a workaround to gain access to whatever webinars we have going on. Without actually being a client, that we would love to have you. So definitely consider it.
Kelsey, let's do this quickly. You guys are a great partner with us. Reach out to us here at Agency Revolution. Tell us that you're on the Quote Wizard webinar, and we'll extend a 50% discount off implementation of our Fuse solutions. So reach to us, just say Joel said I was on the Quote Wizard, and we'll chat with you, and we'll extend that 50% to off any implementation for Fuse.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was totally unexpected, guys. Definitely a surprise. So thank you so much, Joel. All right, if there aren't any more questions, Jordan, I see your question came in. Yes, you will be getting a recording of the webinar. I'll also just include that promotional offer that Joel just offered as well. So you guys have access to that. But thank you everyone for being here. Thank you so much, Joel, for being here. And keep an eye out for our next webinar coming up next week.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.